Well, I remember going to school here. I was here 25 years ago. Wow. You can probably hear all the children's voices here.
Brynberian and the Brynberian Community Centre is very close to my heart because in 1972, when the school closed as a primary school, the community got together and bought the old school for the community. It's very close to my heart because I feel that we owe it to the people who worked so hard in the 1970s to raise money to buy the building for the community. And over the years, obviously the building has deteriorated. During this time, we've kept it going as a community centre, with the Eisteddfod being one of the main events of the year. Well, over the years, the community has changed. You know, the community's changed. A lot of people have moved into the area who don't speak Welsh, but are very, very supportive of the Welsh language. And that makes a difference. I think the people who are moving in can integrate with the people who have been here for years and years.
Well, I think what we've got in Brynberian, we've got a huge wealth of individuals from very, very diverse backgrounds. We've got our farming community, our Indigenous Welsh-speaking farming community, and we've got an awful lot of people who have moved here for lifestyle choices. We've got a lot of people here who are professionals and working within the community, but also externally. We've got home workers, we've got artists, accountants, we've got farmers, we've got writers, we've got university professors, we've got lecturers, pharmacists, doctors, dentists, you name it. We've got the whole gambit, if you like, of individuals living cheek by jowl. And I think we've also got, in a way, a new age community as well who live within our midst. So we have, and we all get along really well together, and we're all sort of seeking the same sorts of things. We all want to make sure that our community continues to grow and thrive. We're very cosmopolitan, if you like.
So it's a great hub, the community centre, because we're all spread out over quite a wide radius in the village. It's about 4 miles square radius, so we don't get to see each other often. But we're actually quite sociable. So you know, when there's an event on, which often happens in the community centre, then you know, everyone just seems to come together, and it's a really great connection.
We moved here in 1998. We brought up our 2 children here, both of whom are second language Welsh speakers, but both of them are fluent Welsh speakers. Our youngest son Toby, who's now an actor in Cardiff, went to ysgol and he did the whole of his education through the medium of Welsh. Josh, who's slightly older, has taught himself Welsh. We don't intend moving anywhere. But one of the challenges we face as a community is we have a very poor transport infrastructure. There's no public transport in the area, so there are all sorts of issues around that. Getting to places is very difficult, and the older we get, concern is if we can't drive, how do we get to access services? How do we get to see people? So the community centre is about bringing together all ages and all members of the community to engage in intergenerational activity, if you like, to engage in the Welsh language, to ensure that we continue to develop the culture, to make sure that the community doesn't die.
Back in 2016, we thought, well, this is the time for change. This is time to bring the building up to the 21st century, and also include far more people from the community to take part in what was going on there.
Y gornel dywyll. Mae gen I gornel dywyll bach yn gefn fe stafell felyd. Dim ond fi sy'n mynd i'r lle, ac dim ond fi sy'n gallu. Mae'r gornel yma weithiau'n troi'n unrhyw beth rwy'n eisiau, trwy gael llygaid bach endyn a meddwl am y gorau. Mae weithiau'n llong sy'n mynd aras, ond mae weithiau'n llong sy'n croesi yn mwyn a chyrraedd traeth Australia. Neu weithiau'n gar yn mynd aras a fi yn dod yn gyntaf.
Mair Hughes. My mother went to school at Llwynihirion years and years ago. So it would be in the 1890s, I suppose. They lived in Brynberian. I think she said Mr. Miles. There was a Welsh note there. Well, they couldn't speak Welsh. They shouldn't speak Welsh.
Mae gen I gornel dywyll bach yng nghefn fy stafell wel. Dim ond y fi sy'n mynd i'r lle, achos dim ond y fi sy'n gallu.
My brother was here and I'd come along and what was it? I used to hold books from the They had a big trunk full of cowboy stories.
But you remember a lot about Canol and yes. You used to play in Canol once?
I was full my dad around there with the sheep, you know, and looking for sheep in the autumn to winter to see if they were right.
Y gornel dywyll. Mae gen I gornel dywyll bach yn erbyn ysgol chwelu. Dim ond fi sy'n mynd i'r lle, achos dim ond fi sy'n gallu.
My parents lived in Llwynihirion Brynberian at the time, ond ges I fy ngeni yn ysbyty Aberteifi. Oedd mam yn had yn byw yn yr Hafod, sy'n le eitha anghysbell ar y mynydd. Tan 1939, they moved in 1939 to Llwynihirion. I didn't live in yr Hafod at all, but my three sisters were born and brought up there for a while anyway. And it was a wonderful setting, really. Well, Brynberian is a lovely area to grow up in. Idyllic, really, isn't it? Magwraeth ddelfrydol, dwi'n meddwl, Brynberian. Nefoedd ar y ddaear. Paradise. Brynberian. I fi. Pan oedd pobl yn trefnu pryd oedd y gwair yn mynd i ddigwydd ar bob fferm, neighbours used to arrange a day for their own hay baking. Perhaps Pensarn would say, well, I'll do mine on Wednesday. Llwynihirion, perhaps you'd like to do Thursday. Llwynihirion on Friday, so that they could all help each other. And that kind of community spirit is something that I remember vividly from my time in Brynberian, I think. I think the threat to the language, which we could see even in our own time, you know, the fact that you wouldn't see your own language in your own country on things like official notices and road signs in particular. You probably know that I was involved in that campaign for bilingual road signs. I was a vandal at one time. Three of us, all with roots in this area: Geraint Eckley, whose father was a minister in Maenclochog; Eirig Wyn Davies, Hermon, who's just died now. Eirig Wyn and friend eating, but Eirig Wyn was an MEP, a member of the European Parliament for some years. He died last month. My best friend, really. We decided, in our wisdom, one night to cut down some English road signs around the Aberystwyth area while we were in our last year in college, 1969. And that was the beginning of the campaign for bilingual road signs in Wales, which lasted a few years. Tri dosbarth oedd yn yr ysgol, a'r milltir, y prifathro, Mr Ifor Davies, wrth gwrs, milltir I ni. A o'n i'n hoff iawn o milltir. Dosbarth ucha oedd e. O'n i'n dechrau'r dydd fel arfer, oedd milltir yn darllen y Western Mail I ni. Dwi'n meddwl bod eisiau darllen y Western Mail, oedd e unan hefyd, cofiwch. Ond o'n i gyd yn casglu rownd y desg fawr milltir. And he used to read the Western Mail. And I think we all came to recognise how a paper is set up. Sports page, he started with the sports page. And I loved sport as well, so I was glad of that. Oedd e'n hoff o chwaraeon. Oedd e'n dechrau ar y cefn, tudalen ôl. Dechrau gyda chwaraeon. Ond wedyn oedd e'n troi ar tudalen blaen I weld beth oedd y prif beth, the main news of the day on the front page. Ond hefyd oedd yn dangos pethau fel y golygyddol i ni. He used to show us the editorial, and he used to tell us, this gives you the paper's view on things that are happening in the world. So we learned to read a newspaper properly at a very early age, just because Mr wanted to read it himself, I think. Yn yr haf, dwi'n cofio hefyd, oedd radio ar y silff y ffenest, a oedd Mr yn hoff iawn o cricket. A oedd y test match yn dod mlaen.
He drew his left arm back so hard into his stomach, it's a wonder he didn't elbow himself in the spine.
Yn yr haf yn amal iawn, a o'n i'n gwrando a darllen neu beth yna, so o'n i'n licio cricket hefyd. Oedd hi'n mwy hamddenol yn yr ysgolion, yr adeg na. There wasn't as much pressure in schools at that time. You were able to do things and go on a tangent, I think, which you can't do nowadays. It's more difficult you're more confined to the curriculum now, I think. Hefyd, o'n i'n cael mynd lan i Cernydd Meibion Owen. Y plant mawr. O'n i'n rhedeg lan i Cernydd Meibion Owen. Chi'n gwybod am Cernydd Meibion Owen, wrth gwrs. Mae'n sbel lan. O'n i'n cael rhedeg lan fyna amser cino. Wedyn o'n i'n clywed y gloch yn mynd i ddechrau sesiwn y pnawn. A pawb yn rhedeg lawr fel ffylied. Ond o'n i'n cael mynd lan a dringo'r Cernydd. We used to climb those rocks at lunchtime. It would never happen these days, but it was all part of our education, I think.
Yes, well, yes, I think the important part of the education.
We used to love it, yeah. Dwi'n cofio pennill ddysgodd ei ni, na mae'n dala gyda fi. Sôn am wreiddiau nawr, talking about roots and the importance of your roots. Dante dos i'w ddilyn, Shakespeare trwy i'w fyd. Cofia bant y celyn yr un pryd. Go and follow Dante, turn into the world of Shakespeare. But don't forget Pantycelyn, our greatest hymn writer in Wales. Don't forget Pantycelyn at the same time. That is, appreciate other cultures and other countries and other traditions, but keep and maintain your own tradition as well.
My name's Jeff Phillips and I live at Newfoundland, Brynberian. I was in Llwynihirion School between 1958 and 1961. I enjoyed my time there, to be honest with you. The headmaster was Ivor Davis, and I thought he was an excellent headmaster, for what I remember. 20 to 30 people, maybe.
Bore da, Caroline. Siwr I chi? Wel, mae'r teulu yn mynd ôl genedlaethau I ni wedi byw yn yr ardal yma. Fi nawr yn sefyll tu allan I dŷ ffarm Rhostwarch, sydd yn dŷ hynafol, adeiladwyd yr rhan yma o'r tŷ nôl yn 1726. I started in Llwynihirion School in 1965, and because Pensan was right on the border between ysgol Llwynihirion and ysgol Eglwys Wen, I really was one of the furthest ones from the school. And both my parents had gone to Eglwys Wen Primary School. So I was the first of the family, in a way, to go to Llwynihirion. Dwi'n cofio pan ddechreuais I yn ysgol Llwynihirion, wrth gwrs, when I yn y dosbarth bach, sef, ac oedd yr athrawes oedd yn y dosbarth bach ar y pryd, oedd Mrs Ina Rhys o Aberteifi. Menyw fach fyr oedd hi, oedd hi'n petit iawn. Oedd hi wastad yn gwisgo yn dainty, and she, you know, you'd see her in heels, well, not massive stiletto heels, but she wore heels. And when she arrived in the morning, she always wore flat shoes. And then in the school, in the small classroom in Llwynihirion, on the wall facing the mountain, there was a radiator. And I can always remember a row of shoes, different shoes, underneath the radiator. When she arrived in the morning, she wore flat shoes because she'd driven from Cardigan. Right, the flat shoes would go underneath the radiator, and then she'd wear a pair of shoes with a little heel on them. But I suppose as the day went on, her feet were getting tired because she was standing, and then she'd wear the slippers. So that's one of my first memories of this row of shoes underneath the radiator keeping warm.
Back in them days, I'd have said it was at least 95% all Welsh. Everything was Welsh, as far as I can remember. There was some of Llwynihirion who lives where Blaen Ffynnon. Llwynihirion used to live there. He's the same age as me. His father was a German POW. And there was the Rockleys in Plaza Bangor, Gerald and Patrick. I can't remember their father as such, but I remember his father, Patrick's father, coming one day to pick him up from school, and he used to put Patrick on the crossbar of the bike. And they'd only just started off going down then towards my Sabella, and I don't know, Patrick's foot got stuck in the front wheel and the whole bike, everybody's somersaulted in the middle of the road there. I remember going over to Llwynihirion where Dylan lives now. Maltby was there then, I think it was Maltby. And because they were thrashing, so I took all the school children over there to watch the men thrashing.
Good evening, everybody. It's so lovely to see the place, the vestry full. Mae'n mor neis I weld gynifer chi wedi dod heno ac yn gymysgeth o bobl hefyd, so mae hynny yn ardderchog. Because we are now, you can see that we have made great progress with the building already, but we haven't got enough money to finish off the project completely. So now we are searching for more finance. And this time we will be applying to the lottery, National Lottery, People and Places. And I've spoken to the lady on the phone, and she said that she wanted to make sure that it was people-led. And I can see that with the result of the public meeting tonight, I think this is definitely people-led. Siwr bod ti'n mynd wedyn, o Llwynbedw, ti'n mynd i'r ysgol Brynberian. Yeah. Pwy ffordd cerdded wedyn, wrth gwrs, yn dyma?
Cerdded, dipyn. Draw, heibo, chi'n bod yma Garnwen?
Ie, hwrw.
Gros y Penrhyn ni'n galw'r darna o dir. Lawr heibo Glanrafon isa. A draw heibo Garnwen. A mas i'r ffordd fawr fyna. A o Dewi Pantygraig wedyn yn pigo ni lan wedyn. Oedd yn gerdded milltir a hanner, siwr o fod.
I fynd i Garwen?
I ddechrau.
Ie'r adeg yn yr ysgol, fel amser cino, bethau fel awr, ti'n lle cofio pwy fath o fwyd o'ch chi'n cael, neu oedd rhywbeth arbennig yn cael ei weithio, a o'ch chi gyd yn edrych mlaen amdano fe, neu?
O'n i'n cael bwyd bendigedig. Oedd cino hyfryd na, cino rost yn aml iawn. O'n i'n hoff iawn o cino rost. Yn cofio, mae un beth dwi'n cofio yn dda yw'r semolina. O'n i'n hoffi hwnna, gyda jam. Jam a semolina, droi fe, fel plant yn neud, i droi fe'n binc.
My grandfather was one of the instigators, and also, as it turned out to be, my future mother-in-law was also an instigator, along with lots of Derek's family. And this one then was taken of the younger committee members. As you can see, there were quite a few of us younger, in our 40s probably at that time. But by today, we're only a committee of 12. And on the Constitution, which they created in 1976, 77 possibly, what they said, that the committee has to have, all the committee members have to be able to speak Welsh, and all the notes and the committee meetings have to be in the Welsh language. Well, that is still the case.
Chef making for 1 hour, perfected.
This is showing class, and this is the... So which one is he?
Jack.
She was there in your time, then? Na ti fyna, mae'n mistis fach fyna, mae Elfyn fyna, a Dylan fyna.
Ac yn ysgol I gair, Brynberian Jones yn y fe.
I remember in 1963 when we had that big snow around here, and I remember going from where you park the cars to go into the church. There was an old lane that went down and came out at the corner, down where the signposts There was a lane going up there. And I remember on sledges going up and down there, and Howard was taking it to the Sydney film.
And Dad made all the sledges.
I remember that.
Did he?
My dad spent the whole winter making sledges. Yeah, because we were blocked in, weren't we, for about 3 weeks.
I remember that's fun. We never had it. We lived in Bledon for months at least.
They've got a lot of fans.
Diolch yn fawr iawn I chi gyd am ddod bore yma I gefnogi ni yn Brynberian, y Canolfan Gymdeithasol yn Brynberian. Roedd mwy o wybodaeth tu fas I weld beth I ni yn wneud. I ni nawr yn mynd I brynu'r raffl, a diolch yn fawr iawn I chi gyd am brynu'r raffl hefyd.
We've lived here for 33 years now, yeah. So I went to primary school in Eglwysuru, went to Preseli, went to Wales for a little bit and then came back and yeah, been back here ever since. I feel so lucky to live in this area, to be honest, being in the national park and the landscape we have here. We're just so lucky to have so much nature around us. Not that it's not depleted as everywhere else is, but it's still there's a lot left of the natural world compared to so many other places. Every time I go away, I'm just so glad to come back. As a craftsperson, I've been involved in a couple of exhibitions which have been fundraising for the new work on the community centre, and I'm quite excited about continuing to do them afterwards. I think, well, from my own generation, a lot of the people who I went through school with left the area. Some have come back. It's quite difficult to stay in this area. You have to think outside the box a little bit.
When were you here at school?
Yes, about 8 years ago. Yes, yeah, it's a long time.
3, 2, 1.
I remember then
in 2016, Sandra phoning, yes, I'll come over, most definitely, to explain how things are done. And then there was a new grant on the horizon, the RCDF, Rural Community Development Fund, a very complicated European funding with complicated grant procedures. So I said to Sandra, it's a long-winded process, but no, we're going to do it. And perseverance and the help of lots of other professionals in the community resulted in that being clinched. But then Sandra, being Sandra, said, can we go for a second one? So I think Brynberian is the only village in Wales which has had 2 RCDFs. So the first one for the building, about 120,000, and then the second one, 60,000 for the heat system and the solar panel. And of course, in this day and age, having solar panels is now crucial with the increase in cost of heating. So I really applaud the vision of this community. Mae gweledigaeth chi fan hyn wedi bod yn wirioneddol arbennig. Cymuned fach, wledig, Gogledd Sir Benfro, yn dod ynghyd i gynllunio prosiectau, cynllunio ceisiau grantiau. But it's a community effort, isn't it? And you know, I've been fortunate to work with other communities, and it's all about the people who want to achieve things. And I would say you've achieved amazing stuff, amazing results here in Brynberian. And the proof of the pudding is that from 1878 to 1982, when you bought it, 40 years on, another 2 in the number, 2022, you now have a state-of-the-art community centre with the latest innovations. And it's a true tribute to everybody who's volunteered, put in their own time for no benefit, and people who want to see the local community taking charge of a site now that is fit for the 21st, if not the 22nd century. So you have future generations who will be using this building, and it's down to you as the people who've driven it. So I would say a special thank you. Diolch yn fawr iawn I chi am eich ymdrechion ar gyfer eich cymuned. Bydd pobl yn diolch am y dyfodol. There is a display in the little room on the side here. I had a quick look now, and it's amazing the history and the heritage of this site. And that heritage is important from 1878 to 1982. And now 2002 is another landmark in the heritage of this community. So well done to you all. Future generations will look back and thank you for your hard work. Felly, diolch yn fawr iawn I chi am y gwaith caled, a pob llwyddiant i'r ganolfan gymunedol fan hyn. Diolch yn fawr iawn.